My wife's sister convinced her that I was having an affair during her cancer treatment. She filed for divorce while still in chemo, taking half of everything. I moved out quietly and rebuilt my life alone. 5 years later, when her sister's husband left her bankrupt, she needed my financial expertise to save her. My name's Daniel, 38, male, and I'm still not sure if I've ever recovered from what happened 5 years ago. I was married to Laura, 36 at the time, and I thought we had the kind of marriage people envied. We weren't flashy, not the couple posting curated vacation pics on Instagram, but we were steady. She laughed at my dumb jokes. I made her coffee every morning. We had history, routines, all those little rituals that feel boring until they're suddenly ripped away and you realize they were the glue holding your whole world together. Then came the cancer diagnosis. Stage 2 breast cancer. Chemo, radiation, surgeries, the whole brutal gauntlet. I promised her we'd get through it, that she could lean on me, that I wasn't going anywhere. And I meant it. I was at every appointment, holding her hair back when she threw up, cooking meals she couldn't stomach just so she'd at least try. I thought we were fighting this thing together. Enter Melissa, her sister. 34, sharp-tongued, always had this competitive streak with me from the beginning. Melissa had this way of making me feel like an outsider in my own marriage. Family first, she'd say, like I wasn't part of it. I chalked it up to protective older sibling energy at first, but it ran deeper. She never liked how Laura leaned on me more than her. She wanted to be the savior, the center of gravity in every crisis. When Laura's health got worse, Melissa started spending more time at our house. At first, I was grateful. Extra hands, extra emotional support. But the comments started. Small jabs, carefully timed when Laura was weak and vulnerable. You know, men aren't good with sick women. Or, are you sure he's really working late? He looks awfully rested for someone holding the weight of the world. The poison dripped slowly, and when Laura was too weak to fight me on anything, Melissa leaned in hard. She'd whisper doubts while Laura was hooked up to chemo, planting these ideas that I was distracted, distant, maybe even unfaithful. She even claimed she'd seen things on my phone, total lies, screenshots she'd manipulated. To a woman hopped up on steroids and anti-nausea meds, too sick to trust her own body, those seeds rooted deep. I remember the night it broke. Laura sat me down at the kitchen table, pale, hair in clumps on the floor, eyes rimmed red not from the chemo but from tears. She told me she wanted a divorce. Not after treatment, not someday, now. She said she couldn't fight cancer and fight the betrayal too. I begged her to tell me what betrayal, what she'd seen, what she thought I'd done. But she wouldn't say. Just repeated Melissa's words. I can't trust you anymore. She filed the papers while still in chemo. I signed them like a ghost. She took half, our savings, the house, even our dog. And Melissa stood there smug, like she'd won something. I moved out with 2 suitcases and a mattress I dragged into a dingy apartment. I didn't fight, didn't scream, didn't even tell Laura the truth. That the only betrayal was her sister's. I just vanished. Quietly. Like maybe disappearing would be less painful for her than dragging it out. That was 5 years ago. And now? Now the same sister who burned my life down is standing on my porch, mascara streaked, shaking hands, clutching foreclosure notices, begging me, to save her house. Melissa never just showed up. That was her style. Grand entrances, dramatic timing, making sure the spotlight never missed her. 5 years earlier, she'd managed to rewrite my marriage into a story where I was the villain. Now, she arrived at my door on a Sunday evening with foreclosure papers sticking out of her purse like some grotesque prop. I hadn't seen her in years. My life was small but steady. A 1-bedroom apartment, a modest consulting business I'd built from scratch, and a handful of clients who actually respected me. No drama, no family wars, just quiet. Until she broke it. Daniel, I need you, she said. Voice cracked, mascara running. I should have slammed the door, but the old part of me, the man who once took care of her sister through chemo, hesitated. Her story came spilling out in jagged pieces. Her husband, Eric, had walked out 2 months ago. He'd drained their accounts, left her with debts she never understood because she'd let him handle the finances. Credit cards maxed, mortgage months behind, the bank ready to take the house. And now, the irony. She needed me. Because I wasn't just some guy Laura divorced. I was a financial advisor. Numbers, budgets, negotiations. That was my thing. The same skill set that once built our life, the one Melissa had destroyed with lies, was suddenly her lifeline. I kept my arms crossed, leaned against the doorframe. You mean to tell me, the guy you convinced my wife I was cheating with never existed, but the guy you married sure as hell did cheat you? She winced, looked away. Didn't deny it. Didn't apologize either. Just pressed on. Daniel, please. I'll lose the house. I don't know who else to turn to. Images from the past hit me like gut punches. Laura, pale and crying at the kitchen table. Melissa's smug half-smile as she packed up half my life into moving boxes. Me sleeping on a mattress on the floor, eating canned soup because divorce lawyers aren't cheap. Now she wanted me to rescue her? I told her I'd think about it and shut the door in her face. My hands were shaking, not from anger, but from the sheer absurdity of it all. For 5 years I'd carried the silence, never told anyone how she'd poisoned Laura against me. And here she was, back on my doorstep, asking me to save her from the same ruin she'd once orchestrated. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, memories and rage burning holes in me. She thought I'd just say yes. She thought I was still the same man who stayed quiet, who let her win. But if I was going to help Melissa, it wouldn't be for her. It would be for me. For Laura. For the 5 years I lost. And if I played this right, Melissa wouldn't just owe me. She'd choke on the truth she buried. Don't forget to subscribe. I agreed to meet Melissa the next day at a coffee shop downtown. Neutral ground. No way was I letting her into my apartment, not after what she'd done. She was already there when I walked in, sitting hunched over with a stack of bills and foreclosure letters spread out like a crime scene. She looked smaller than I remembered. Not physically. Melissa had always carried herself with a kind of sharp-edged confidence, but broken. Like someone who'd spent years pretending to be untouchable and finally hit the wall. Daniel, thank you for coming, she said, as if we were long-lost friends. Cut it, I replied, sliding into the chair across from her. Tell me what you actually want. She shoved the letters at me, past due notices, court warnings, mortgage default. Eric had bled her dry and left her holding the bag. She was 3 weeks away from losing the house. I need you to negotiate with the bank. Refinance, restructure, something. You know how to do this. I don't. Her voice cracked halfway through, and for a moment I saw panic. Not manipulation, not control, just raw fear. But I wasn't about to make it easy. You know, it's funny. You had no problem destroying my credibility with Laura. You made sure she trusted you over me. And now here you are, admitting I'm the only one you can trust. Her lips tightened. Daniel, I was protecting her. She thought, no, I cut in. You told her. You fed her lies until she believed them. Don't rewrite it now. For the first time, she didn't argue. She just stared at the table, hands trembling slightly as she folded one of the letters back into the envelope. I leaned in. If I help you, there are conditions. Her eyes flicked up. Desperate, but wary. What kind of conditions? First, full transparency. Every document, every account, every debt. No surprises. Second, I hesitated, letting the words settle heavy. You tell Laura the truth. You admit what you did. Her whole body stiffened. Daniel, I can't. You can. Or you can pack your things and wait for the sheriff to put your furniture on the curb. Silence. She knew I wasn't bluffing. Finally, she whispered, if I do this, if I tell her everything, will you help me? I sat back. I'll think about it. I left her sitting there, surrounded by her collapsing empire, staring down at the paperwork like it was quicksand. Walking out into the cool evening air, I felt something shift in me. For the first time in 5 years, the balance of power wasn't in her hands. It was in mine. Melissa stalled for 3 days. She sent me texts about working up the courage, about how Laura wasn't ready to hear it, excuses stacked on excuses. I didn't budge. I kept telling her. No confession, no help. On the fourth day, she caved. I met her outside Laura's place. I hadn't been there since the divorce. The house looked smaller somehow, stripped of the warmth I remembered. Melissa was pacing on the porch, chain-smoking like she used to when stressed. She doesn't even know I'm coming, she muttered. Good, I said. Then she won't have a rehearsed lie ready. Melissa shot me a glare, but knocked anyway. Laura opened the door. I swear my heart nearly stopped. She looked healthier than when I last saw her. Her hair had grown back. She wasn't gaunt anymore. But her eyes, the moment she saw me standing there, they froze. Shock, confusion, maybe even guilt. Daniel, what are you? Melissa jumped in, words tumbling out fast. Laura, I have to tell you something. About what happened. About the divorce. Laura frowned. Melissa, what are you talking about? And then it happened. Melissa cracked. Not clean, not noble, messy, stumbling, defensive. She admitted she'd lied. That she'd fabricated messages, twisted my late nights at work into proof of cheating. That she'd wanted to protect Laura, yes, but also to be the one Laura leaned on. That she couldn't stand me being the hero when Laura was sick. Laura's face went pale. She looked at me like she was seeing a ghost. Is that true? She whispered. I didn't say a word. I didn't need to. Melissa broke down right there on the porch, sobbing into her hands, the whole neighborhood probably hearing. Laura leaned against the door frame, tears starting in her eyes. I finally spoke. 5 years, Laura. I lost everything because of her words. And you believed her. Her lips trembled. She tried to say something, but no sound came out. I turned to leave. Now you know. Do what you want with it. As I walked down the steps, I heard Laura call after me, soft, broken, but I didn't look back. For the first time in 5 years, the truth was out. And the sweetest part? Melissa was the one who put it there. Don't forget to subscribe. Update. Wow, I did not expect this story to blow up like it did. I've been sitting here all night scrolling through the comments. Some of you angry for me, some of you calling me a saint for even listening to Melissa at all, and a few of you straight up telling me I should have let her rot. Honestly, can't even argue with that. A lot of you asked why I didn't defend myself 5 years ago. Why I just let the divorce happen. And yeah, looking back, maybe I should have fought harder. But when you're watching the person you love barely able to stand from chemo, and her sister, her family, is whispering poison in her ear, you don't go nuclear. You shut up, you step back, you hope time fixes what sickness and lies broke. Except it didn't. Time just buried me deeper. So yeah, standing there on Laura's porch, hearing Melissa admit it all, it was surreal. Vindication mixed with this awful hollow ache, because 5 years are gone. I watched Laura's face when the words sank in, and I don't think I'll ever forget it. It wasn't just betrayal at Melissa. It was realization. She knew she'd let herself be turned against me when she needed me most. That hurt worse than any lawyer's stamp on the divorce papers. Some of y'all said I should have stayed and twisted the knife, really made them suffer. Trust me, I wanted to. But walking away, leaving Melissa in tears and Laura staring at me like she'd just seen a ghost, that was its own kind of power. Here's the kicker, though. Melissa's still blowing up my phone. She's gone from begging to furious. First it was, thank you for making me do the right thing. Then, you can't just walk away when you promise to help. And now it's straight up rage. Last text I got was, if you don't fix this, I'll tell Laura you made me confess just to humiliate her. So yeah, she's unraveling. And I haven't even touched the financial side of this yet. The bank deadlines, the money trails, the wreckage Eric left her in, I've seen the documents. And if I want to, I could pull a few strings that'll either save her house or make sure she loses it in the loudest, most public way possible. And let's just say, I'm leaning toward the latter. Melissa didn't let up. After her confession, she pivoted straight back to desperation. Calls, texts, even showing up outside my office one morning. She wasn't asking anymore, she was demanding. So I agreed to look at her finances. Not out of mercy, out of curiosity. What I found was worse than she'd admitted. Eric hadn't just walked out. He'd left a financial nuke behind. He'd opened credit cards in her name, pulled cash advances, used the house as collateral for a business loan that never existed. Melissa was staring down foreclosure, bankruptcy, and possible fraud investigations. She was drowning, and the bank was circling like sharks. And that's when it clicked. I could save her on paper, but only in a way that gutted her pride, stripped her bare, and forced her to choke on the truth she'd buried. I called her to a meeting at the bank. She thought I was negotiating on her behalf. What she didn't know was that I'd set the whole thing up. When we walked in, I'd already prepped the loan officer, a guy I'd known for years. Melissa sat there in her best blazer, trying to look in control, while I laid out her debts, her defaults, her forged signatures that Eric left behind. Every ugly number hit the table like a hammer. The officer didn't sugarcoat it. Without a co-signer with strong credit and income, she was finished. House gone. Credit destroyed. She turned to me like it was obvious. "That's why you're here, Daniel. You'll co-sign." I let the silence stretch. Then I leaned back, calm as stone. Why would I stake my name on someone who destroyed my life with lies? Her face drained of color. You said you'd help." "I said I'd look," I cut in. "And I have. The only way forward is brutal honesty. Not just to the bank, to everyone. You want me to co-sign? Fine. But first, you tell the world what you did. To me. To Laura." She snapped. Right there in the bank office, Melissa went full meltdown. Tears, raised voice, accusing me of blackmail. The loan officer just sat there, uncomfortable but unmoving, while she raged. Finally, she stormed out, leaving papers scattered across the desk. I gathered them calmly, tucked them into my folder, and thanked the officer for his time. When I stepped outside, she was waiting, wild-eyed. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" she hissed. I looked her dead in the eye. "5 years ago, you took everything from me. Now I decide how much you lose." Then I walked past her, her screams echoing in the parking lot. Melissa didn't stay quiet after the bank. She blew up my phone with threats, said she'd tell everyone I was extorting her. Said she'd call Laura and twist the story again. What she didn't realize was that Laura already had questions. 2 days later, Laura called me. Her voice was shaky but direct. "Can we meet without Melissa?" I agreed, though my stomach was in knots. We chose a park, public and quiet. She showed up bundled in a jacket, looking smaller than I remembered. "I don't know what to believe anymore," she started. "Melissa told me you're trying to ruin her. But she also admitted enough that I know she lied about you back then. I need to hear it from you, Daniel. Were you ever unfaithful to me?" I looked her in the eye. "No, not once. While you were sick, all I did was take care of you. The only betrayal was Melissa poisoning your mind against me." Her eyes filled with tears. "I think I always knew, somewhere deep down. But I was so sick, and she was so loud, and I was so scared." Her voice cracked. "I signed those divorce papers because I thought it was the only way to stop the pain." I wanted to scream, to tell her how those papers shattered me. But instead, I said, "And now she wants me to save her. That's why this is happening." Laura shook her head, disgust on her face. "She used me, and now she's using you." Right on cue, Melissa stormed into the park. She must have followed Laura's car. Hair wild, eyes red. She was already yelling before she reached us. "You set me up, Daniel. You want to see me homeless? You want to humiliate me?" People were staring, parents pulling kids closer. Laura turned on her sister, voice trembling but sharp. "Melissa, you told me my husband was cheating while I was fighting for my life. You ruined my marriage. Now you're ruining yourself. Don't you dare blame him." Melissa's face crumpled, and she screamed, a raw feral sound, then grabbed the coffee she'd been holding and hurled it at me. It splashed across my shirt, hot enough to sting. Gasps rippled through the park. Laura stepped between us. "Enough. You've taken everything from him already. You don't get to take more." Melissa froze, breathing heavy, eyes darting between us like she couldn't believe Laura was finally against her. Then she turned and ran, stumbling back to her car and peeling out so fast she nearly clipped the curb. I stood there dripping coffee, chest heaving. And for the first time since the divorce, Laura was standing beside me, not across from me. "Daniel," she whispered, "tell me what she's done to herself. The debts, the house, all of it." So I did. And by the time I was done, Laura wasn't crying anymore. She was furious. Update 2. All right, Reddit, strap in, because things went nuclear. First off, thank you. I read through so many of your comments after the last update. Some of you wanted me to let karma do its work. Others said I should make karma happen, and at least 3 of you suggested I buy popcorn and watch her house burn down. Tempting. Very tempting. So here's what happened. Laura called me, asked to meet without Melissa. For the first time in years, it wasn't an ambush. It was her looking me in the eye and asking if I'd ever cheated. I told her the truth. No, not once. And I could see it in her face. She finally believed me. Or maybe, deep down, she always knew, and hearing it out loud cracked something open. But Melissa can't stand not being the center of the stage. She followed Laura, showed up at the park, and absolutely lost it. I'm talking full screaming meltdown in front of strangers. Threw coffee at me, scalding hot, all over my shirt, while parents were literally dragging kids away like she was a live grenade. And here's the part that floored me. Laura stepped between us, shielded me, and told Melissa, out loud, in public, "You ruined my marriage. Don't you dare blame him again." Guys, I almost didn't know how to breathe in that moment. For 5 years, I've carried this weight alone. And now, Laura finally sees Melissa for who she is. After Melissa sped off like a maniac, Laura made me tell her everything. The debts, the house on the brink of foreclosure, the bank meetings, every ugly number Melissa tried to bury. By the end of it, Laura wasn't sad. She was furious. Not at me, at her sister. Now here's where things get wild. Laura asked me not to walk away yet. She wants to stand with me. She wants Melissa to face the truth in front of more than just us. And I'm not going to lie. That idea has been growing on me. So yeah. For everyone asking if there's going to be revenge? Oh, it's coming. Not in secret this time, not whispered like Melissa's lies. This time, it'll be out in the open, where she can't spin it. And the best part? Laura will be standing right there with me. Laura didn't waste time. 2 days after the park incident, she called me again. "She's been telling the family you're blackmailing her," she said. "I want them to hear the truth from both of us." It hit me then. Melissa hadn't just poisoned my marriage, she'd poisoned Laura's whole family against me. And now, Laura was ready to rip the curtain down. We agreed on a plan. Laura would invite their parents and a couple close relatives to her house for what Melissa thought was a family intervention about me. In reality, it was the stage for her own undoing. The night came fast. I showed up early with Laura. Sitting in that living room again was surreal. The same room where we used to watch movies on Friday nights, now rearranged like a courtroom. Melissa arrived last, strutting in with that brittle confidence, holding a folder like she'd prepared evidence. The moment she saw me, she sneered. "Really, Laura? You let him back in, after everything?" Laura didn't flinch. "That's exactly why you're here, so everyone can hear what you did." Melissa's face twitched. "What I did? Laura, he's manipulating you again." She opened her folder, fumbling through papers. "He's trying to ruin me financially, forcing me to confess things I never—" I cut her off by pulling out my own folder. Bank statements, loan papers, signed documents Eric left in her name. I laid them out on the coffee table for everyone to see. This is what's really ruining her. Fraud, debt, foreclosure. I didn't do this. Her husband did. And she covered it up until it exploded. Her parents leaned forward, eyes scanning the pages. Melissa stammered. "That doesn't prove anything about him cheating." Laura's voice sliced through. "Because he never did." Silence fell. Heavy. Final. Melissa tried to laugh it off, but Laura wasn't done. She turned to her parents. "She told me Daniel was unfaithful while I was fighting cancer. She faked messages, twisted his late nights into lies. I believed her, and I lost my marriage because of it. He stood by me, and I threw him away. Her mom gasped. Her dad's face turned red, jaw clenched. Melissa, is that true? Melissa cracked. Tears welled up, voice rising into hysteria. I did it for you. I was protecting you. He would have left eventually, just like Eric did. I couldn't let you get abandoned while you were sick. Her words echoed, ugly and desperate. Laura stood tall, tears in her eyes but voice steady. You didn't protect me. You destroyed me. And you destroyed him. And now you want him to save you? Melissa broke down sobbing, clutching her head, while the rest of the family stared at her in stunned silence. I didn't need to say another word. The truth was out, in front of everyone who once thought I was the villain. As I walked out with Laura at my side, I felt something I hadn't felt in years, peace mixed with justice. Melissa wasn't just exposed, she was finished. After that night, Melissa's collapse was fast and ugly. The family cut her off. Her parents, who once parroted every word she whispered, refused to cover her debts. Her dad told me later it was the first time he realized how thoroughly she'd manipulated them all. Her mother couldn't even look at her. The bank moved forward with foreclosure. I knew every trick, every possible loophole, every fix, and I used none of them. When Melissa called, screaming and begging, I didn't answer. When she showed up outside my office again, security escorted her out. 2 weeks later, her house was listed for auction. Laura kept me updated, not out of malice, but because she needed closure too. She admitted she'd spent years hating herself for believing Melissa over me. But seeing her sister unravel in front of everyone had been the final proof. Melissa thrived on control, and when she lost it, she crumbled. The sweetest part? Laura asked me to join her for dinner one night, just the two of us. No expectations, no rewriting the past, just two people who'd been broken by the same lie, finally speaking honestly. She told me she still lives with regret, but she's rebuilding her life, healthier, stronger. And she wanted me to know she still remembers the man who sat with her through chemo, even when the world thought otherwise. Melissa, meanwhile, is renting a tiny apartment across town. Eric's gone. Her reputation with the family is scorched earth. And every time I drive past her old street, I see the foreclosure sign that she once thought I'd magically erase. Revenge didn't come with fireworks. No shouting, no triumphant speeches. Just silence. Just the cold, satisfying sound of a life collapsing under the weight of its own lies. And for me, that was enough.